Welcome to Never Too Serious with Scott and Dave. I'm Scott.
And I'm Dave.
The Hunter Biden story has been in the news for a while, and it's been kind of silenced, I think, for a while. There's this journalist. She's from the New York Post. Her name is Miranda Devine, and she wrote a book called The Laptop from Hell.
Oh, okay.
Does this ring a bell?
I've heard them talk about or refer to the laptop as that.
Mm-hmm.
And how would she know?
So she was given basically a copy of the hard drive from one of the laptops. And the New York Post started publishing articles covering some of the content that was on this hard drive.
Mm-hmm.
And immediately, I don't know if you can remember back then, but not
the
if
hell
you have
are you
a memory
saying?
problem.
I'm not that old.
but Facebook and Twitter banned just before the election these articles.
Sure.
You remember that?
Sure, yeah.
And the timing, of course, was interesting because it was an election, and Trump and Biden were going at it, and this could have been a pretty big nail in the coffin of Biden, but it wasn't.
No.
It was suppressed. It was
Right.
It was discredited as Russian disinformation.
Yeah, as everything that might count against anybody that runs for president.
Mm-hmm. So Miranda Devine did this presentation, and this is a clip from that presentation
About her book she wrote?
about a little bit about why the book is important.
Oh.
And there's two parts to it.
But the laptop itself is important for two reasons. Not for the homemade porn or the crack smoking exploits of the man that the president says is the smartest man he knows. It is important, of course, because of the evidence that it contains that Joe Biden was up to his neck in his family's peddling influence overseas with China's President Xi Jinping, with Vladimir Putin, and various of the sort of oligarchs and princelings in their inner sanctum at the time that he was vice president. And it shows that Joe Biden brazenly and repeatedly lied about his knowledge and involvement in this scheme. But the laptop is also important because of what I am talking about today. And that is the might and reach of a censorship regime that unsheathed its claws and showed its face the day that the New York Post published the first of a series of stories from the laptop, which was damaging to one of the two presidential candidates less than 3 weeks before the election.
All of that's unbelievable.
Mm-hmm.
And the one from one thing to the next, to the next, to the next is unbelievable.
The media part is what gets me the most.
Yeah.
Because I do remember this was a big story, and it didn't come out as a big story.
And they say that you can't fix and or rig an election. This is how you do it. It doesn't have to be a voting machine.
Mm-hmm.
This is more effective.
Well, yeah, and then they took out Trump's Twitter account.
That's right.
Facebook continued to, Facebook continued to basically censor content that was damaging to Biden.
And at the same time, they were putting lies on actually President Trump at the time about his Russian ties that he never had.
There's a show, a late night show called Gutfeld. Familiar with him, Greg?
Yeah, he's a good guy.
Gutfeld. Yeah, he played a little montage. I grabbed some little pieces from that, so I credit him with his researchers doing the work.
Yeah,
but he brought out some of these news media organizations that he basically just said, they were trying to bury this story. They were trying to make it out to be something that it didn't end up being.
And like usual, a few months, a couple years later, the truth comes out, and everybody's like, yeah, about that. Shut it down.
Yeah.
Shut it down. Fire this person or that person.
Well, we know that the laptop is real.
Yep.
We'll go through some stuff in a little bit about the laptop.
Try to discredit that for a while too.
But here are some quotes from CNN. This is from Brian Stelter.
Oh,
I know. He says one of the headlines is how the newest anti-Biden narrative was manufactured.
well, how it was manufactured.
How it was manufactured? Yeah. He Another one. U.S. authorities investigating if recently published emails are tied to Russian disinformation effort targeting Biden. I mean, this is the kind of stuff. These are the headlines. They don't actually. They're just trying to seed in some doubt.
Well, I don't know if you ever read it and I'm not talking about those ones because I haven't read those ones, but I've read headlines such as those, and you go through and it says nothing at all what the headlines is because people read the headlines and they move on. They don't sit there and read the detail. Well, if this was to happen and this one and this was to happen, then that could maybe happen. So it's always, headlines are not, they're just.
Well, and here's another one from a politician who I have really negative opinions about because of the dishonesty from him. Ethan Cut 8. Adam Schiff.
Oh, gosh. Pencil neck. That's what Trump called him. And
this whole smear on Joe Biden comes from the Kremlin.
Yeah, so he's talking to Wolf Blitzer, and he says the whole thing is coming from Russia. He was the one who was really leading the impeachment over Russia. You know, of his involvement, of Russia's involvement in the election. NPR on Twitter, they said, why haven't you seen any stories from the NPR about the New York Post's Hunter Biden story? Their response, we don't want to waste our time on stories that are not really stories, and we don't want to waste the listeners' and the readers' time on stories that are just pure distractions. That's from NPR.
right.
I mean,
it's not a real story. Somebody wrote a book. You know, that's a story.
Yeah, another one. This is not censorship. Facebook is in no obligation to allow a disputed report that appears to contain disinformation to spread on their platform.
It's still censorship. It's them censoring it.
And
it's like if I say you come into my house, you can't say this word, that word, or this word, I'm censoring you guys. So it is censorship.
Well, and then the fact checkers. You know, if they actually did some research, they'd realize that this thing is actually true. And then, of course, my favorite, Joy Reid. Oh, she drives me crazy. I guess rumor has it she's losing her show. Anyway, she says on Twitter, she says, good for Joe Biden. No need to dignify a Russian hatchet job strain through Rudy Giuliani's utter brokenness with a response. We're not doing emails again in America. Just vote and ignore the nonsense.
Wow. And she has the audacity to use the word hatchet job. And if you ever watched her show,
oh, it's hard. I can't hardly watch.
This is getting a little bit rough. I'm having to talk and listen to these people. I really don't have an issue. I have an issue with.
It's just really tough because this was such a critical time in an election,
right? And
the Democrats really succeeded in silencing something that most voters at the time didn't even know about.
Yep, that's
a lot of the independent voters had not even heard about this and didn't, and the folks that didn't really think it was true. There was a presidential debate, and they were talking about this stuff back then. At least Trump was talking about this stuff, and Biden was basically denying it. So this was from the last debate, and Joe Biden is basically defending his narrative about Trump and the Russia collusion, even though he knows what's going on. Ethan, cut number 7.
Character of the country is on the ballot. Our character is on the ballot. Look at us closely.
Let me ask some follow-up. Please respond, and then we're going to have follow-up.
If this stuff is true about Russia, Ukraine, China, other countries, Iraq, if this is true, then he's a corrupt politician.
Right.
So don't give me the stuff about how you're this innocent baby. Joe, they're calling you a corrupt politician.
Nobody's
President Trump, I want to stay on the issue of race. We're talking about the issue.
Laptop from hell.
President Trump, we're talking about race right now, and I do want to stay on the issue of race. President Trump,
I have to respond to that.
Please.
Because look,
there
are 50 former national intelligence folks who said that what he's accusing me of is a Russian plant. They have said that this has all the 5 former heads of the CIA, both parties, say what he's saying is a bunch of garbage. Nobody believes it except his and his good friend Rudy Giuliani.
You mean the laptop is now another Russia hoax?
That's exactly what.
Is this where you're
going? Yeah, go with that. Oh,
okay. So
and how we lost is unbelievable.
The whole thing
makes me so angry.
It does make me angry too. But at the time, I didn't know what was what was really true either. But looking back, we can see now so much of this stuff was true, and they were hiding it. Now, he's talking about this statement from 50 former intelligence officers.
Yeah.
They got together and they wrote this thing, and then they signed their names to it. I wanted to read you a little important spot here, because Biden is saying that this is so important because all of these intelligence people are claiming that, this has got the earmarks of a Russia, conspiracy or whatever. Well, here's one of the parts inside of that letter. It says, "We want to emphasize that we do not know if the emails provided to the New York Post by President Trump's personal attorney, Rudy Giuliani, are genuine or not, and that we do not have evidence of Russia involvement. Just that our experience makes us deeply suspicious that the Russia government played a significant role in this case." Isn't that something? Of course, no one's go back to read this letter.
Nope.
But as long as the headline...
Yeah, that's right. They're just headlines. That's it.
Mm-hmm.
That's why you'll see the headlines, and underneath it will be just a bunch of crap that doesn't even say what the headline is.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because they know there are that obviously the majority of America are just, I don't know, they're just mindless, absorbing anything. I don't even get it. I can't even put my finger on it.
People are not going down and reading the article. That's what you can just simply say, well, there's 50, intelligence officers that said that this is BS. But then if you read it, that's not exactly what is being said.
Because there's different people out there. When we hear something like that, I'll just say, there's some people in the country or world that will hear something like that and go, whoa, what? And it intrigues them to go look into it. Mm-hmm. The other part will go, whoa. Mm-hmm. And that's fact. And they take it.
Yeah.
From them, from both sides. They should question Trump. They should have questioned Trump's statements.
So I want to talk a little bit about that laptop from hell.
Ooh, let's do it.
There's a guy, his name is John Paul Mac Isaac, M-A-C Isaac. It's kind of a long name, huh?
Yeah, well.
He is the repair shop owner and the guy who received the laptop from hell. The repairman, he's talking about some of the illegal activities and his concerns.
When I was comparing the data from the drive that I was copying to and from, I would open up a large video file, and then I saw some disturbing content of a very personal nature.
So of a personal nature, let me ask you this. Would your initial gut reaction be one that would be, this is illegal what I'm saying? What I'm seeing, rather?
I didn't look at
in your non-lawyerly opinion. In other words, would an average person looking at those videos think this is totally illegal and needs to be reported?
Initially, the stuff that I saw from doing just the initial transfer, I would say the images and the video that I saw, I saw criminal activity, but I wouldn't go so far as to say it was criminal. I was more concerned about later on when the Ukraine was topical in the news during the summer of 2019. That's when I was getting more concerned, because I was seeing a lot of names and a lot of numbers that, again, I felt somebody would someday come looking for this laptop, and I needed to get it out of my shop.
Yeah,
no kidding.
Yeah, so, the criminal behavior that he was talking about, I think Hannity was trying to push him a little bit more about, were you watching criminal behavior? I mean, like pedophilia or something, trying to get to that point. But, turns out that what he was talking about was just him with a hooker, doing sexual stuff and
we
smoking
know of at this point in time.
Yeah, and doing drugs on these videos. So it's criminal behavior, but it's not like kiddie porn or something. Yeah. It's a different type of criminal behavior that,
But it's criminal behavior, but it's not criminal.
Yeah, it's a very weird way of describing it. But what gets me a little bit more is the end of it, where he talks about, I was more concerned about Ukraine and the names in this because I just want to get it out of my shop.
Yeah.
This is the kind of stuff where, people do commit suicide by 2 shots in the back of the head.
He's smart for wanting to get it out of there, and all he was doing is going to give a service to a crackhead.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Yeah. But when I was doing research for this show, this is the first time I saw this.
Yeah, I will say
I've never seen it before.
I don't know if I've seen it. I thought I heard him. I might have heard it before, maybe heard a small clip, but no, I've never seen it. I mean,
I don't watch much Hannity, but this should have been reported on in newspapers and like all over the place.
Right. Yeah. It's a big.
This is firsthand knowledge of the laptop.
He's in fear. You know, I mean, he's answering. I'd probably answer it the same way. But then again, if I was that scared, I might just say everything just to like, I'm going to be out of here anyways. I want to say everything I know, but I don't know. I would hate to be in his position. I'll say that.
Yeah, me too. Ethan, cut number 3. He's talking about FBI coming and taking the equipment.
Let me go through the timeline with you, if I may, because you handed this over to the FBI. They finally took possession of it December 9th, 2019. Tell us what happened.
They came to the shop. Originally, they were planning to make a forensic copy of the drive. They couldn't guarantee that they could take the equipment away from me. So when they showed up and they handed me a subpoena requesting the drive, the paperwork, and the laptop, I was overjoyed that they were going to basically meet my demands, if you will. I wanted it out of my shop, and I wanted some kind of paper trail, some level of protection from the FBI. So I was pretty happy that they took it. A couple of things happened during that exchange. A couple of things were said that kind of, again, threw up some red flags with the FBI, just how they wanted me to handle it if should come looking for it, how to contact them, how to stall whoever's looking for it so they could make arrangements to have the equipment returned to me. It did kind of, I was concerned.
Yeah. Yeah, when the FBI comes and says, yeah, we'd like to have that stuff, but then let us know if someone comes to claim it.
Yeah. And, his word concern, I think he wanted to be straight up, I was scared. Concern, yeah. But, I mean, and the FBI was like, we're not sure if we're going to take it. I'd be like, you're taking it. What do you mean? I'm signing over everything. Do you take it and run? You're the FBI, get it out of here. How about this? If not, I'm going to throw it out on the street. and what do? Do you put a sign on the front door going, Hunter's laptop is not here anymore, see this? Because you don't want them to even come in and ask for it.
Well, and, he's out evidently talking to news people.
That's probably why he wants to go out, is let them know that he does not have it. Don't come to me, please.
Yeah, but
because
gosh,
I've seen lots of movies.
I mean, there's some incriminating stuff on that laptop, and if you were wanting to silence someone, he'd be one that you'd want to silence.
And if they didn't believe that the FBI came and took him, they might take him in the back room and he's got at least 10 fingers to start with. I don't know. You think about those things like.
See how comfy those cement shoes feel?
Yep. Yeah, I'd be a nervous wreck if I was that guy.
Yeah.
Thanks, Hunter.
Ethan, cut number 4. He's talking about the impeachment and the timing of it, because this is one of the reasons why Trump got impeached a second time.
Sure. Right.
And so December 19th, to remind everybody, because impeachment on the issue of Ukraine took place with President Trump in January of 2020. And I guess my question is, what you saw in terms of documents, did that seem relevant to you to the debate that was explained?
Well, I had seen what would, again, I'm not an investigative journalist. It's not my day job when I was fixing Macs, but I saw some pretty compelling documents that definitely showed a pay-for-play scheme going on between Hunter Biden and his business dealings in Ukraine.
Joe Biden claimed that he didn't know anything about his son's business dealing. Will the documents that you saw contradict that, incontrovertibly contradict that?
Yeah, I think there was a lot of coordination. I saw a couple emails coming directly out of the White House to members of Burisma staff that, including the vice president's schedule, any discussions that were going on about Ukraine and policies with Ukraine were being sent directly to Vadim, who's the number 2 at Burisma.
Yeah.
I mean, this is hugely damning.
But yeah, sure. So, but you see the trend here, like Hillary, when she was running for presidency against Trump, Russian collusion, about what Trump is doing with Russia when it's Hillary, right? They're just saying whatever they are doing, they're going, hey, they're doing it. So they're almost shining the light on themselves at this point because this is their track record. The next time they point at anybody else and says they're doing blah, 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 no, it's them that's doing it because they literally went out and said and busted Trump's balls over Ukraine while this was literally happening. Thanks for listening to the shortened version of our show.
If you want to catch the full audio episode, you can find it here or wherever you find your podcast. But if you want to see the full version in video format, you can catch us on YouTube, Rumble, and now on Spotify.